Okay. All right. It's just about 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, Thursday, August the 12th, 2021. And welcome to week one or open house for drugs and crime. Excuse me. And so this is our special early morning edition. We won't really have our lectures this early. You will see as we go through today what the schedule will be for lectures in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so you can see that what we have here is the home page. I'm going to go to the student preview. And this is what you see when you open it up. Um, at the top on the left hand side now is messages, then your grade book, your discussions, and then your calendar. And this gets you back to the course home page. Okay. On the left side, um, there's your roster. Your roster here tells everyone who is in this course. So if you clicked on this, for example, it will list the names of everybody in the course, including mine. And if you clicked on it, it will tell you the email address as well. And you can go down for each of, we have 23 students in this class. Some of you I know, other classes. So we're going to take some time and we're going to go over the expectations for this particular course. All right, so I'm going to start with, if you look at messages, you'll see nothing here because of the fact that me as a student have not sent messages, but that's where you will find your messages from me or from other individuals who use uh, that page that I showed you as well to reach you. And then there is the grade book. In the grade book, it tells you each of the assignments that are due. So this week we have discussion assignment. We have a written assignment. And then we have a quiz. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then our live classroom lecture. Notice the discussion posts this week are due on Saturday. The initial post and reply post. That's the way it's this week and this week only. In your written assignment and the rest of the stuff is due on Sunday, this Sunday. So I'm going to talk about those things. So in the meantime, you have your lounge where each of you communicate student to student. And if I click on this, I will see where there's one student who has posted something, Allison, and you'll see the information that Allison has posted. I encourage you to um, get involved with that. Down at the bottom, there is a course chat, and you'll see this is where you can find information about me. and it tells you uh, um, the term, and it tells you my name and the course, and it shows you a picture of my family, um, and it's my wife, and then me, and uh, this is my daughter Julia Alexis, and that's Julian, the son, Richard, another son, and then Jillian. Of course, this she's much bigger now. She's 13 now. And this tells you about me as well and things I like to do, just a little bit of information. One of my favorite things to share with students and encourage you is when I graduated in 1978 June, I believe it was the 17th of June 1978 from Northwestern University School of Law when I received my law degree. And then I ask you to respond to it. You can make comments and so forth. And then here's a mnemonic that I share to help people. I use this in public speaking a whole lot, using each of these letters to be a successful um, student. Okay, so if you use each letter as a way of life and a habit, you'll be successful. My email address without the two, and then this is my personal email address if you wanted to reach me, and then that's my phone number, which you can call me or text me or email me. You'll see the parameters of that in just a few minutes. And this is my office number, except I'm hardly ever there. Best number is to use this one and disregard this one. Of course, if you use it, it'll still send me a message telling me that you called me. But the fastest thing to do is to use this one. Okay. So I want to share that with you. Then we go to each week's discussions. Now this is just one way of seeing the discussions. There are other ways. So this will show discussions, and it will tell you who the students are, and it tells you what your um, activity is, and you'll use this paragraph: conduct research to learn about criminal activity, and then in your first post, choose one of the drugs from this list. Try to stay within this list. Or another drug scheduled in 1, 2, heroin or marijuana. But most students stay within this list of drugs as your initial post. Um, so, and you're going to follow each of these bullet points. Notice one thing you're going to find out: marijuana is not on this particular list, and there's a reason why. I will talk about that a little later. And then your reply post, replying from a student. Now, it says be sure to include citations. You can. If you don't worry about it. You won't lose points for that. That is the exception to using APA, which we'll be talking about as well. Now, notice this. This is what we call set up on what we call post first. Post first, which means that if you don't post an announcement, if you don't post a discussion post, when you open it up, you won't see anything, any activity going on until you post yours. And once you do that, then it opens up that you can see others for the reply posts. Okay, very important. And the reason I do that is so that people don't take their initial post from other people's posts. And then, so that's one place that you'll see the discussions. All right. Then we have the course calendar. And I like the month view. Some people like the daily view, but I like the month view. It said that the course began yesterday, and today is the live lecture. Now, if you clicked on this, it will take you to the daily view again. And if you scroll down, scroll up in this case to 8 in the morning, and it tells you the time that you did it, and it tells you that our lecture is going to be from 8 to 9:30. Normally it won't be an hour and a half. And this is the link. If you clicked on this link, it will bring you into where we are right now with this lecture. All right, so I won't click on that now. So it's a hyperlink there. But you will see, if you take a look at the month again, that your uh, initial post is due. Oops, I forgot to put the initial post in here. I've got to put that here. So your initial post and your live posts are due Saturday. So I got to make sure I put that in there. And then for next week, I'll have to amend that and add that in there. That's the only thing in here that's missing. And then your assignment, your live classroom lecture, and your quiz. Then you'll notice that starting next week, your live lecture. But of course, on the 17th, you'll have your discussion posts that are due, and I'll make sure that I put that in after we finish this session. So you'll see that each week your discussion posts, initial posts, will be due on Tuesdays. Then you'll see your reply posts continue to be due on on Saturdays, all the way down. So let's go to right to the next month. Goes all the way down, all the way down. And for this week, your initial post will be due this final week, same day on Tuesdays. And then your reply post will be due on this particular Friday, the 17th, the last day of class. That's when all assignments are due. You see the lecture schedules, and you see everything all the way through. That's the course calendar for you to know, and it tells you due dates and times as well as in the module there. Okay, let's go back to the course content. So now I want to start with books, tools. As you know, the book, you have it in your, so you can go, here's your syllabus. If you click on your syllabus, it tells you my name. It says the office hours, or you can call me, text me, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. Any except the 25th hour of the day. That's the, figure that one out. And I do encourage students to call me or text me. Students like to email, and then I don't always get the notice, particularly if it's something that's important, something that you want me to know right away. I do check my emails, but as far as responding to them, I can respond to your text and phone calls even faster. This is the phone number that you use for calling or texting. That is this phone right here, and you can reach me. And then here's my email address again with the number 2. This is a reminder that when I do grading, that you have to conduct research for all papers. That means that the sole source of your papers should not be the book, textbook. You'll lose 2 points for not conducting research, because one of the skills that we want to develop in you in dealing with information literacy as a transferable skill we're going to talk about in a minute is to make sure that you know how to research. Research is very important. You'll be doing it for the rest of your careers even after leaving school. All written assignments should be in APA format. And this is just a short portion of citations in the body and references at the end. There should be a cover page. If not, you'll lose 1 point as well. Of course, this doesn't apply to discussion posts, but for all written assignments that you do. Okay. Now, very important, and we're going to talk about why the importance of citations and references as far as academic integrity and getting you into the habit of doing that. All right. All right, so here's the textbook, which you have already. And this is the course requirements. All right. Check your emails frequently. All right. Discussion posts. As I said, this week, your initial post and reply posts are due Saturday. Saturday. In the future, you will see, and I will adjust the calendar accordingly, that your initial posts are due on Tuesdays starting next week and continuing throughout the course for your initial post. Your reply posts would be due Saturdays, with the exception of the last week of class, which the 17th, since the class ends on a Friday, you'll have your reply post. When you submit your post, remember it's post first. You will not see anything until you post yours. Do not give me a short response like yes, no, I agree or disagree. I want to see some critical thinking, some analysis. You should, as it says, go beyond the text, say something about the subject, and collaborate to brainstorm new perspectives on the subject. So in other words, give me some thoughts off from what you've discovered about the question or issue that's before you each week. Each week, the discussion will change. And so I don't have to tell students to exercise courtesy and etiquette. You know, don't use cuss words and things of that nature. Don't be critical of students. Um, just if you disagree with a student, you can say I disagree and then elaborate why. That's it. Even myself, you don't have to agree with me, and if I see something that you do and I disagree with you, I will let you know why in a professional manner to give you information to support the position as well. So discussion posts, let me just say this right now up front, that when you submit a discussion post late, you will lose points. We'll talk about that in the late. And then at the end of the week for discussion, which is that Sunday after the discussion, no discussion posts will be accepted with the exception of one way, and I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes. But your initial post, for example, cannot be accepted on Sunday. Under no circumstances. We will discuss that very seriously. All right. The resources tab, I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. The course consists of readings of your text. Also, I provided you the PowerPoints that you can have for each week. You should be able to use that. I already included discussion information. There will be 5 quizzes throughout the course, and that'll be starting with this week, and then there'll be a final exam the last week. All right. And will be contain multiple choice questions, and you'll have so many minutes. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Then there is written assignment each week to make sure that you've gone over the competencies, that is, studied the material, listened to the lecture, and that you can then prepare your papers, conduct your research, and then your final exam. That'll be in week 6. 20 multiple choice questions. Be aware that each of these quizzes and final exam are timed. This is a live classroom lecture. That's remind you of what I said earlier about assignments. This breaks down the percentage to show you the importance. If you notice that most of your grade comes from discussions and written assignments, but your quizzes and final exam as well. So everything adds up to 605 points. Your goal is to get as close to 605 points as possible. Now, I'll make this announcement that some of you already know. I work on the left side of the grading scale. The A and the A minus is Dean's List. The B plus, the B and B minus is honor roll. I do not work to help students get below the honor roll. So C and D and F students, you do that your own. Never call me, text me, email me to ask me the question, what do you need to do to get a C or just pass a D in this course? I won't answer that question for you. The answer to that question I'll give you up front. Follow the rubrics, listen to the lectures, reach me if you have any questions, not last second always, and try to do all this if you have questions before you submit your assignments. Okay, because you can submit your assignments more than once during the week before the due date. And I will grade each of them, and then you don't have to tell me to disregard attempt number one. I will grade them all, and the highest grade will be the final grade. It doesn't average out. So anyway, that's my announcement about that. All right. Students always come back, and then I tell them respectfully won't answer that question. Okay, and this is what I do. So now we have identified at the school something called transferable skills. These are skills that employers have told us that they want you to have. They want you to be able to be proficient in these in order to perform. And so when you are interviewed and hired for jobs, the expectation is that you are proficient in these skills. The first one is communication, written and oral communication, being able to express yourself in a professional manner, not using cuss words or things of that nature. You can actually sometimes use slang, but minimize that, but be as professional as possible. With the written side, you should be aware that your written documents, your reports, everything that you put together, even some of your notes, are subject to become exhibits in a court. And they should be accurate. They should be truthful and based on the facts and or information that's necessary to conduct an investigation or whatever information is requested or needed to do your job. I have, as a lawyer, defense lawyer, many years caught individuals with inaccurate information in reports, for example, police reports. I remember one case, and I talk about this all the time with students, where it was written that my client committed an offense April 31st. Well, I knew automatically as I was perusing the report that this wasn't correct. So I used it to my advantage and I asked about it, and they tried to take the information and says yes, the report is the report, and that they support that, even the officer and the witness's testimony. Well, in my closing argument, I recited a poem that I learned that says 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest of 31 except the month of February. So what I did was I impeached the witness and the author of that report. And only thing they can come back and says, oh, it was a mistake, which are words that a defense attorney wants to hear. The trier of fact began to look at the parties as either not telling the truth or not knowing what they're talking about or confused, and that the officer or author of that report looks unprofessional. Even using lowercase I in the document, I've been able to use that. The point of the matter is this: the goal is for you to be professional in both your written and oral communication. That's why we are uh, so dogmatic about it in your written assignments as well. Critical thinking. We want to be able to see that you have taken the information and that you've converted it and given it some thought, conducted some research or investigation so that it shows what you think. I am a natural critical thinker because I went to law school and I studied what's called the Socratic method. And the Socratic method prepared us to be able to think on our feet as well, so that if something comes up during the time I'm representing someone, asking the appropriate questions, and then maybe objecting appropriately in the courtroom, and then being able to elaborate on my objection based on my critical thinking. We want to see that demonstrated in your written assignments. Very, very, very important. So much that when we run your papers through a process called Grammarly, which I'll talk about in a minute, each of you will have a Grammarly account. You'll be able to check your own and check the plagiarism box in that program, and it'll tell you if you've taken too much material from sources that you discovered from research, or you copied and pasted too much, but you didn't offset that with any analysis of your own. We're more interested in your analysis. All right. Digital fluency. Very, very, very important. As professionals, everything is digital these days. You'll use laptop computers, iPads, Android pads. You have these phones here. When I came out of law school, none of that existed, but I'm proficient at using those. I know how to use systems like Word. I know how to use Adobe PDF, which you'll hardly use in this class because your written assignments should be in Word document form. Uh, uh, in some classes, Excel spreadsheets. You'll know how to utilize PowerPoints and other sources. The point of the matter is we're in a digital world. There's cameras everywhere, even on your body cams now. You have dash cams. You have cameras in the neighborhood. I have cameras in my house and around my house that provide information so that I'll know what's going on the outside. And it records it, by the way, and can be utilized. As you know about how cameras are important in investigation, if you're familiar with what happened to Derek Chauvin, is that the difference in a conviction and him being found not guilty was the camera, the video cam, and it's utilized often, and it's a new tool, and it's a very good thing. Officers should not be concerned about being on camera if you're doing the job correctly. Diversity and teamwork. We are in a diverse society, diverse world. People from all over the world are in this country, different cultures, different beliefs, sexual preferences, religious beliefs, and we need to be able to respect each other in our beliefs. Learn about someone else. We encourage at this school diversity. We want people to be able to be involved with each other, to share their cultures, their beliefs. Even if you don't necessarily understand them, you can learn from those individuals as well. Certainly know in law enforcement, you're going to come in contact with people from all walks of life, and probably the fastest growing population in the United States, bar none, is diversity of the of Hispanic people. And so as a result, you want to learn that language. I encourage my students to do that. I was telling my daughter, she's in 8th grade. She's going to be starting classes on the 18th of this month. And I told her, I said, study Spanish. And she has a Spanish class. You'll learn the systems of it, but you may not understand everything that the people are saying. But the point of the matter is recognize that diversity is a skill that you must have. I was often paid in another job that I used to do because I could speak poquito, or a little bit of Spanish, enough Spanish to communicate to people. Excuse me, and it provided me with an extra $50 a case, which was pretty good money. The point of the matter is that we recognize that we need to communicate with each other. This school, Rasmussen, has what we call the Diversity and Inclusion Council, of which I'm a member of. I haven't been very active in it because of some personal things going on, but we encourage that. We ask you to respect each other. Teamwork. You work in teams. You'll work with individuals from all walks. When I was actually working as a lawyer, police officer, and investigator, I was a paralegal at one time. I worked with all of those types of individuals over my career as well. I also dealt with forensic people, scientists, and recognized and understood the value of science and dealing with evidence that's being provided. I won cases because I was able to understand the science as well. And then as far as teamwork is concerned, in this class, you do teamwork by dealing with the discussion assignments where you collaborate. If we had more people at the live lectures when we record them, we could put you in groups and give you different things to do, and then we would have you to communicate on them. But we don't have that many, so therefore we rely on the discussion assignments. Ethics and professional responsibility. Ethics is so important. We're going to talk about ethics as far as academic integrity and the importance of your developing an ethical framework. In fact, you take a course in ethics in this school. I used to teach a course that was offered called Ethics in Criminal Justice, where I enjoyed teaching criminal justice professionals the importance of ethics. Ethics will allow you to do a very good job of what you're doing, and doing it the right way. I always say an unethical student becomes an unethical professional. That's kind of like an oxymoron, but an unethical worker. And that can end up landing you even in jail, because you could try to do things like that code of silence in law enforcement, doctoring up reports to cover what happened or cover an error. Ethically performing and doing your job the right way within the realm of training will keep you out of trouble, and possibly keep you employed and allow you to advance. Ethics is so important. Professional responsibility. Almost every position has some type of organization or structure in place that you have to follow these in order to do the job correctly. As a lawyer, we had a canon of ethics. Accountants have them. All areas: probation officers, parole officers, police officers, you name them, paralegals, all have a professional responsibility organizations which tell you how to perform your job. Information literacy is the last one, and that's, I alluded to that, involving research and sources, providing credible sources. You'll see that a lot of times mentioned in the rubric. The credible sources have to do with your citations in the body and references at the end, and you'll see why that is in just a few minutes. We never use Wikipedia. If you use Wikipedia, you will lose points right away. I'm telling you that now, so don't forget that. The reason why is because Wikipedia is a word-based website that people can change. And so you'll have the opportunity to exercise each of these skills during your courses while in this school, including this class. And that's how the assignments are put together with each of these in mind. You can even sit back and think about every assignment as to how it affects each of these. Your attendance requirement, I'm not going to comment about that. The last thing I'm really going to comment in detail is the late assignment policy. Students may submit assigned work up to a week after the deadline. However, each day that you submit it, you're going to lose 10%. So don't get comfortable with the 7 days. The 7 days means you can do it and you'll get de minimis points after so many days. Hypothetically, if you submit an assignment that's due on Sunday and it's perfect, you'll get 100. The same assignment on Monday, you'd get a 90. The same assignment on Tuesday, you get an 80. On Wednesday, a 70. And you go on down, and you see that by the time you've reached Thursday, which is really, so you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you've actually reached failing. So even before you get to the 7 days, all right? And that's the point. So don't rest on that. Now, it says here, and I want to talk about discussions to make clear on that before I do the last thing on this. They conclude at the end of the week. I said that earlier. Your discussion posts made after the due date, it says, will not be accepted. Well, even if they're accepted, you won't get points for them. So it's the same thing. But the point I'm making is this: I give you a break. If you submit your initial post and reply post by Saturday, of course, you will lose points for not submitting it timely, except with the exception of this week now. Starting with week 2, they're due on Tuesdays, then you'll lose a point for each day for that initial post, assuming it's proper form and everything. Then the reply post, you'd get all your points if it's done. Now, if you submit your initial post on Saturday or by Saturday, and then you submit your reply post by Sunday, you're supposed to not get any points. But I give my students a break in my classes. I give you an opportunity to submit it, but you'll lose a point for the late submission. If you submit both your initial post and reply post that Sunday, it's over. Now, students come back and say, well, I had this problem, I had that problem. The discussion assignments are very easy to do, and they don't take a lot of time to do. You should be able to get those done, okay? But again, remember I says, make sure they're cogent, make sure they have details and information. The final thing I want to say is I already referred to in the first paragraph about 10% off. Instructors, and I'll read this, may waive the late penalty or time frame in the case of extenuating circumstances as determined by the faculty. That means that not your dean, not your advisor, not the chairman of the board, or anybody can come in and determine extenuating circumstances. They could determine them, but I have the final word on that. I'm very liberal when it comes to that. That's why my students have no excuse, because of my office hours that I've given you already, and the methods I've given you to reach me. If I had an emergency, I would not email the professor. I would text them or call them. Now that's unusual for some professors, but remember, you're in my classes doing that. That's my students all know that about me. And so it's very important that you utilize that. And extenuating circumstances is determined on a case-by-case basis. And I work with people to understand. Overtime is not extenuating circumstances. You have to plan your work and work your plan in order to do well. Time management is one of the things that you go through when you first start this school, and time management is important for you as well as for me. Okay, I try to get your grade assignments in by the Friday after the week that you submit them. Now I have almost 100 students this term. It's going to be a challenge, but um, that means that I will be grading that many assignments and then discussion posts as well. So roughly, I would be doing somewhere in about 300 grades per week, pretty close to it. So it's going to be a lot of work for me. But you got to get your assignments in, and very important. But let me know if there's something going on. All right. I do not give additional work to make up. Students oftentimes ask me when they submit assignment, they get a grade, could they resubmit the assignment? Sometimes if I get them graded before the due date and you see your grade, yeah, you can come back and you can redo it before the deadline. But if I'm grading after the deadline, then you're not going to be able to submit an additional one. All right. You can check and read this yourself. Discuss this with your advisor. Academic integrity policy, you want to make sure you master this. I already pretty much talked about it. Importance of not cheating and things like that, plagiarism and things of that nature. So you have all of that information there in your syllabus. All right, before I go to the announcements, okay, let's look at the resources that you have available to you. So you have tutoring platform if you need tutoring, um, research information, search for books, APA guide. You're going to see information that I have to help you with that as well. You're going to have your a blue book if you're paralegals. Grammarly, I talked about that early. Be sure that you use your email address from the school. Click here for instructions as to how to set that up. Your Noodle tools, that's so that you format your assignments correctly. And then your writing guide, dealing with discussion posts, PowerPoints, so forth, and everything. And then other things to help you as well. Guides by subject. If you click on this, it will take you to the the Library and Learning Center guides, which is what you have here. Here you scroll down and you see School of Justice Studies. Click on that and it tells you about research, data, writing help, APA again, how to navigate the Blackboard Ultra, career services, tutoring, and then criminal justice for various classes, including this one. If you click on this, it will open up another page that gives you detailed information about helping you to get your assignments done for each of the modules. And then at the end, there's the APA toolkit. That is you have a video, you have a template. This you will see on the course homepage as well. So you have all the things. We use 7th edition of APA, and you will see that. Okay. All right, so that's in Justice Studies Home. Let's close that up. All right, so now Librarian Learning Center webinar series, you can get that information as well. Academic integrity video, we're going to go over that in just a minute. You'll see that in the course. Why is it important as a student to use academic integrity? This is also a place where you can make an appointment with your librarian. Our librarian is the second one, Dennis Johnson, and you see that there. All right. So you can meet one-on-one with a librarian to help you. Then there's chat hours, and it tells you the hours they're available, starting at noon, Monday through Thursday. They're offline Friday and Saturday, and then on Sundays, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. All right. So we offer an opportunity for you to be successful as possible. Your announcements, if you click on archive, you'll see each of your announcements, and you will see at this point we have 6. Now these announcements will continue to be available to you. Now, adversity is the springboard to success is a link to an email, or rather a video that I did that's an hour and some minutes. It's YouTube, and I recommend you to look at that because you'll see that phrase used in every announcement for each weekly announcement. And if you click on this, it takes you to a pre-recorded session where if you go over it, it will take you to YouTube and you can listen to it. I highly recommend the students to look at that and then check it out. All right, because you'll learn a lot about me, why I am the way I am, and the kind of professor that I am. It's important for you to be able to connect with your professors. The academic integrity video, I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But APA assistance, there's the link there. But if you open it up, the announcement, it shows you what I showed you earlier. And the hyperlink for that is right here. And if you click on that, it shows you the toolkit for APA. All right. And how you can find information regarding that as well. All right. So you have the library services. You have the Learning Express library here. If you click on that, it opens it up and it tells you how to learn to be successful here. Okay. Take you out of that. And then there's meeting with the library, Noodle tools, research tools, as I shared you earlier. All kinds of information regarding tutoring for the various areas that you need help in, other kinds of help as well, including personal support if you have technical issues. If you come over here, check that. 365 days out of the year, they'll help you with these issues that you might have as well. And this answers the question, installing Microsoft. There is is there a free Microsoft Word for students? There's the question. There's the answer. Provide a free download of Microsoft Office when they begin their courses. And then make sure that you have Word, PowerPoint, Access, Excel, and more. Download instructions for Microsoft Office are emailed to students shortly after the first day of class, and it tells you what to do. I've had a few students sometimes that come back and says, "Oh, I had to pay for Word." No, you don't. You don't have to do that. All right. So personal support, you can reach out to them, and they can help you deal with that as well. So we have everything that you really need to help you to be successful. So there's APA assistance there. Writing process, here it is. It just lays it out in the chart all the way from step 1 all the way through. Notice that if you submit your papers to the writing lab, it will not be a basis for extenuating circumstances. All right, because there's a 2-day, I think, turnaround before that comes back. All right, so now let's go to the academic integrity video. And I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to take my headset off. Sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying, but you will see the words in English. All right, so now it's on. So it's about 4 minutes. Pay close attention to this.
What is academic integrity? Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the work you do, while respecting the work that others do. So what is cheating? Cheating means distributing or receiving answers or information by any means other than those expressly permitted by an assignment's requirements or an instructor. Some examples of cheating include asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during a test, using notes, devices, or materials during a test that your instructor has not approved, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting a classmate in misconduct, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all course syllabi. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during a test or to work together with classmates on an assignment or quiz. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work and claiming it as your work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else. This can be a library resource, course textbook, internet resource, or other material without giving the original creator credit. Failing to put quoted works in quotation marks, or using someone else's ideas in your essays, but changing a few of the words to make it sound like the words are your own. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to plagiarize images, graphs, coding, or video as well. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in-text citations and on your references page. Whenever you want to use words, images, media, or ideas that were created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that information.
But how does academic integrity relate to the work world? Isn't it just a college thing?
No. Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a project document to your manager as your own when someone else wrote it? Not if you want to keep your job. Individuals can be reprimanded or even fired from their job for plagiarism. Following academic integrity guidelines while you are in school builds those skills and ethical practices that carry through to the workforce.
Okay, I understand how they're connected, but what do I do if I need more help?
If you have questions on the academic integrity policy, consult your course syllabus, talk with your instructor or dean, and if you need assistance with APA citation style or how to avoid plagiarism, contact the Rasmussen library team through our live chat or schedule a research appointment on our library website or through the resources tab of your course. If you would like APA tutoring, schedule an appointment with one of our peer tutors on the course resources tab.
Okay, so now you understand why important are we requiring you to provide citations in the body and references at the end as well. So you can, this video will be here all the time. You can listen to it yourself as well. Next, we have the welcome announcement, which you each should have seen by now. And it lays out the requirements that we recommend that you highlight it so that you'll make sure that you're successful in this course. And then we remind you of what's taking place right now, and that is this lecture this morning, that in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, lectures will be Wednesdays from 8:30 to 9:30, and that begins the 18th, which is next Wednesday. Okay, and then there's the link to the class. I already showed you the link in the calendar as well, and you'll see it in the weekly as well. And then here's the technical support issues that you can reach out and you can get that information as well. Okay. This will be in front of you the whole time. Week 1 announcement for this week, which we won't go over all the details of it because of me laying out the facts of how to be successful. This week, psychoactive drugs, categories, and effects on the body, classification of controlled substances. That's the topic for this week. Chapters 1 and 2 of the text, which I also previously sent you the corresponding PowerPoints. There's an activity for Controlled Substance Act, and then narcotics, amphetamines, cocaine and marijuana, and synthetic drug information. And then this tells you about the lecture that's taking place right now. Again, if you click on that, that's the hyperlink there that leads you to the lecture where we are right now. The discussion assignment, we discussed that earlier, and it's due Saturday along with the reply post. Finally, the quiz. We'll have a time quiz, and then written assignment, impact of controlled substances, and this is due by 11:59 p.m. Sunday. And then this is, again, remind you about the open house that we're doing right now. Okay. This is my motto that you'll see at the bottom. I encourage you to start strong and finish strong. Believe me, before you know it, we'll be at week 6. And then my motto, adversity springboard success. Again, there's a detailed video explaining that so that you understand why I say that as well. So each week you'll see an announcement that I will post regarding that. Pay attention to the deadlines on the calendar, in the module, as well as in the announcement. They will be the same thing. Okay, so now that I've covered everything I need to cover, let's get into the actual module for this week and the remaining time that we have here. Psychoactive drugs, categories, effects on the body, classification of controlled substances. All right. overview and activities, which we've already kind of covered most of them. So your readings, I already told you what those were, along with the PowerPoints. And then your activities that are included in here as well, including transferable skills, which we've already discussed, but you see that as well during week 1. Discussion, we talked about that. The assignment, impact of controlled substance activities, will be shown in a minute. I'll give you details. The quiz, and then each week to get your points, you're going to give me a phrase that I'm going to give you. All right. So let's talk about first the assignment, the written assignment. And while you're looking at that, you'll see the due date. And this item is graded with a rubric. Let me get out of the student mode. Get back into the regular mode now. Okay. Let's open that up. But you'll see the same thing. So when we get to the assignment, you will actually, in fact, see the assignment. Now, there's a scenario here that you can download. Download this file. You're going to use it for each week's written assignment. So it is very important that you utilize it. You'll know about Dave, who's included in this scenario, and his involvement with drugs, mental health, and corrections during the next 6 weeks assignments. And so you're going to address these issues, and you're going to satisfy the bullet points. Make sure it says to provide at least one credible source as an APA format reference and a citation in the body too. Now let me explain something to you. It says at least one, and then students stop there. To make your papers better, it is important for you to be aware that the more citations you have in the body, the better your paper will be. Citations provide support for the statements that are included in your paper. So if I read a statement and I can tell that it's not original from you, excuse me, even if you're an expert, you still want to use sources to support your statements. That's what we did as lawyers for our whole careers. And so you want to make sure that you supply that using in a 2 to 3 page paper, APA formatted, which means it's double spaced. Romans, I think it's 10 or 12. Citations in the body, references in the end, with a properly formatted cover page as well. Submitting it in Microsoft Word. I said that earlier. Very important. Very, very, very important. Very important. I do run all your papers through Grammarly, as I mentioned earlier. Now, it is due Sunday. Here is the rubric. If you click on this, you'll see it. There it is. And it tells you mastery, proficiency, competency, emerging. If you don't have credible sources or citations, you're going to end up not here, but all the way over here, and not getting a grade that you'll be happy with. All right, so you want to cover each of these issues, and you want to make sure that you utilize the information that you respond to from the fact pattern. Okay, and you're going to go down each of these. Notice credible sources in APA. If you have no credible sources, you're going to automatically end up over here. I can't even put you over here. Okay. professional language in a 2 to 3 page paper. If your paper is less than 2 pages, you're going to end up over here because you did not meet the 2-page minimum requirement. So what I tell students is ignore this, ignore this, ignore this, but work with the requirements that are stated in each of these sections. That's what I recommend you to do if you're going to maximize your grade. I say this at the beginning of the course every time, and I promise you there are students who will give me references but not citations. It told you in the academic integrity video the importance of that. I say that over and over and over and over. But that's the rubric, and that's how I grade you. Okay? So if you were to um, go and you would see the information here, then you would discover the importance of what I said. Okay. All right. So now that's for that written assignment. Now, again, make sure you pay attention to the rubric. Now, let me show you, even if I go to take your camera off, turn your camera off. Yeah, Bryce, I know you. Yeah, make sure you turn it off because it takes up bandwidth and it makes the recording go choppy. So I do want you on there, but okay, great. So with the student preview, if you were to look at the same thing, which is what you see, go to module 1 and look at the assignment. This is graded by the rubric, and it gives you the rubric breakdown. But I show you in each of your lectures the full rubric so that you'll be able to see. If you were to click down here, it tells you also in columns, mastery. And I told you, pay attention to mastery for each section, because when I grade you, I'm going to put comments at the bottom of the first section usually to cover the whole thing. So it's important that you follow that rubric. All right, very, very, very important. I want to get back out of the student view, go back into, I guess I could have done it differently. All right, so let's go back into module 1. So the written assignment is there. Discussion posts, I've already covered that, but again, here they are here, and it tells you a fact pattern to use, and your first post is due Saturday. Your reply post is due Saturday for this week, okay? But starting next week, your initial post will be due Tuesdays. I neglected to put that on the calendar, but I will put that on there again, but it's in my announcements, and you will make sure that you have that as well for each week. Notice that it's under what we call post first. So before you can see the discussions, you have to post. So I see there's some students who have done that already, and so that's that. So discussed that earlier. Your quiz, I'm not going to click on this. If I click on it, it will show you the actual quiz. So I'm not going to do that. But it's a 30-minute quiz. All right. And I recommend studying before that. It is a closed book exam. You do not have materials out, stickies, or none of those things. And somebody said, well, how do you know if you're not with us? Well, it'll catch up with you. Trust me. You have so many minutes to get each question done, and you want to read it and think about it. But you will have done your assignments first. I usually tell people do the quiz at the end, so I won't click on that. Then your live classroom recording. If you click on this before the lecture, it will give you the link to bring you here. And there it is right there. I won't click on it because it will do that. Now, after this is over, I will remove this and put in the link for the recording. And I will email it to you, excuse me, as well. As soon as I finish this, I will be submitting that and as well. All right. I do recommend that you try to get to the lectures all the time. Um, Sometimes students just click in just to get the key phrase. That's not a good practice, and it shows up in your grading because you miss important points there. Your live classroom recording phrase is due every Sunday. There's the first one that's due the 15th, and you'll put in the response that I give you and then submit it, and I will put it in. If it's on time, you will get the correct number of points if it's accurate. But if it's late, you'll lose points accordingly. All right, so now normally what I will do is I will cover each of these. I will just kind of touch over these because we've only got about 20 minutes left here. So the Controlled Substance Act, I would talk about that. Let's move that away and explain about the Controlled Substance Act. Now, you should be aware that all these drugs are listed based up on the um, danger of each of them. So Schedule 1 consists of um, heroin, LSD, uh, marijuana, ecstasy, and peyote. This one is probably in the process, marijuana, of being moved because it's being legalized across the country, not just for medical purposes, but for recreational purposes as well. And then they're working on a federal law to um, allow individuals to use them legally as well. And then there's each of the scheduled drugs. So you need to be aware of what they are. If you click on this, this gives the statute, and then you click on this, it actually shows you um, some information about the schedule, and it explains how they are ranked in terms of it, and then it gives the drugs that are in the schedule. And like I said again, there's a lot of them, a whole bunch of them. All right. So you can go through and you can find that information as well. Very important for you to be able to know that. Now, I'm going to make this statement right now is that, well, let's do this first, then we'll come back to that. Okay, see, this is an activity that can help you with what you just saw a few minutes ago. This is something that I will just show you how it works. I won't be doing it. And so you can do what we call a knowledge check. And then it says, read the question and select your answer. Peyote is found under what schedule? 1 through 5. Anybody, do you know? You can type in the chat box, I'll see it. Yep, I just showed it to you a few minutes ago. Schedule 1. And you'll go through and you'll do each of these. And this is a review to help you. It'll help you not just for knowledge, but it'll help you for the quiz. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Then we got here your narcotics, amphetamines, and cocaine and marijuana. And it explains what a narcotic is. It says a substance that dulls the sentences and relieves pain. So that could be from opioids. It could be heroin, oxycodone, Vicodin, codeine, morphine, methadone, and fentanyl. Heroin is widely abused and is typically injected, snorted, or smoked. We're going to go through and talk about these in details. We are in a situation where there is a crisis uh, dealing with opioids, and that you will discover that in this class, the reason this course is called crime, it's called drugs and crime, but I should reverse it and call it crime and drugs. And the reason why I say that, and you'll hear me say this a whole lot during this next 6 weeks, is that individuals commit much of the crime that we have to support their drug habits. They don't even intend on being criminals, but because of the fact that they are addicts, then they do it. Now, I'm not talking about the people that distribute and sell it. There are two kinds of sellers. There's those who sell to support their habit, and then there's those who sell to make money, period. Unfortunately, the individuals who sell because of their habits get caught up with the sentencing of individuals who sell for profit. Instead of dealing with the issue, which you're going to hear me say over and over and over by the time this course ends, that it is a health issue and not a crime issue that we're dealing with. If we were to deal with the mental health, which we'll be talking about, the alcohol and substance abuse issues, if we dealt with those three things, our crime levels would drop tremendously. Excuse me. But some say that it's not intended because then people will have to get other jobs. Well, that's okay. Our world will be a better place. So this tells about the effects of narcotics, how it adversely affects your body, what amphetamine is. Um, Methamphetamine is available in the form of amphetamines and will be one of the topics that we cover. And it can be, as I say earlier, injected, snorted, or smoked. The origin of it, where it comes from, the effects it have, and then the psychological aspects. Cocaine, cocaine is different. It's um, actually now probably one of the most effective forms of cocaine that people use is crack cocaine. I'm one of those people who have had personal experiences with crack cocaine, not using it, but my baby sister passed away years ago, 94, overdosing on crack cocaine. Plus, I was the village attorney, prosecutor, police officer in a town called Ford Heights in Chicago area, which was called the crack cocaine capital of the south suburbs. Many of those places that were houses that were vacant, or some that weren't vacant, were used to cook up crack cocaine using all kind of drugs. We'll talk about that in detail. And notice what it does. Psychological effects of cocaine include increased blood pressure and heart rate, dilated pupils, insomnia, and loss of appetite. Continued use can lead to cardiac arrhythmias, heart conditions, sudden cardiac arrest, convulsions, strokes, and death. I shared that with you already. Um, I remember when I was in the police academy and we saw a video and it demonstrated what crack cocaine does when it enters into the heart. If you get a high, then the second high that you want to get, you try to get back there again and you're chasing it. And the way that you try to get there is increasing the dosage, and your heart ends up like a balloon. You know how if you continue to blow air into it, it expands, 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 then finally, boom, it explodes. That's what happened when people overdose on cocaine and crack cocaine. Okay. And that's exactly what happens to people as they find themselves suddenly passing away. Marijuana, as I already talked about earlier, it is in the process of becoming legalized, but there's still some effects. I still call marijuana a gateway drug, and it will lead to other drugs. It tells you where marijuana is uh, manufactured or grown, and then the thing is that you will discover that marijuana itself does, as it says, mind altering. Cannabis sativa plant is the plant. And so now you have CBD all over the place, oils and things like that that are being utilized. And you will find people who are in the situation where they actually do this on a recreational basis. Uh, Again, some people use it for health, glaucoma and things of that nature. But there are all kind of adverse effects. If you took a look under the effects of the marijuana, bronchitis, emphysema, asthma, long-term use can cause suppression of the immune system, so compromising of that. And Lord knows we don't need any compromising of the immune system in this day and time, particularly with COVID around. By the way, while I'm on it, get your shots. I did out a political statement, and our school encourages getting the shots. We pass the information out and share our students because we recognize that the only way to survive this thing is to get the shots. And now, because of this new variant, even if you're fully immunized, as yours truly is, I'm 71, everybody in my house is fully immunized. You make sure that you're protected against this variant. You can still, as somebody said, you can test positive, but you won't end up in the hospital in most cases. There are going to be other instances that people do, but it's not directly related to that. There are other conditions. So get that. I've had students who wish they had it. If you pay attention to the news, there are people who are on who were fighting this thing and they end up in the hospital and they're begging people to get them. Very important. All right. So marijuana it results in dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, all these different things, euphoria, uh, talkativeness, just a whole lot of things psychologically that it does to your body as well. So it's not harmless. Okay, let's get that clear from the very beginning. All right. Next, the last thing we deal with when it comes to drugs is what we call synthetic drugs. These are drugs that are um, manufactured or that are made by adding other items to the drug. And there are things called bath salts and spice. Spice, you might see it, and a lot of they used to have them, a lot of them, you'd see them in the convenience stores, and they look like candy, but it's has the same effects as marijuana, and it'll create situations that can result in serious injury or death. Bath salts, the last part, um, and spice, both of them are similar to THC, are classified as synthetic cannabinoids and listed in Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances. Most states have state laws also dealing with them. But what I was going to tell you about bath salts, excuse me, is that people have utilized these things and they have done crazy things. Like, for example, a person bit a person's ear off, attacked a person. Um, it does all kind of bad things. And the long-term effects of bath salt and spice, we don't really know, but we do know that people who utilize them will do bizarre things. All right. Some even may jump off a building or something of that nature. So what they do is they mind alter alter your body, and then take control of your body. The last thing, which I'm not going to talk about, just letting you know it's here, is about transferable skills. I talked about that earlier, and it explains each of our transferable skills. You can go through and you can look at that on your own. There is also a short video in here which you can look at to learn about transferable skills. But I talked about that earlier in this session. But this is always here to explain to you the importance of it. Very, very, very important. Okay. And it's about 9:25. If you have any questions, type them in the chat box. Any questions, just type it in the chat box. So we're just about done. Okay, good, good. All right. I know you, Bryce. You've been in, yep, in my other classes. Nice to see you again as well. I think you'll enjoy this class, and you'll learn a lot as well. You know how I roll anyway. Very important. Like I said, if you pay attention to the things that I say in the lectures, and then especially this week 1 lecture, where I spend the time just going over the materials for you. By the way, did you get the PowerPoints that I sent out for this week? Oh, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, guess what? I tell students this. If you go to your app store, you can download WebEx and you can listen to it in your car on your phones. A lot of students don't know that. But you can go there and you can have that information. I have an app in my phone that if I turned it on and clicked on it, you'll see a double me doing the lecture. But students can do that as well. So you can get that, yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, on the plane, you can't. Yeah, 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 the apps work well, but yeah, not on the airplane because you have to put your phone in airplane mode. Yeah, I hear you. You're kind of at their mercy when you're up in the air, those kind of things. So, all right, so uh, that's about it. So I'm going to give you a phrase. I'm usually pretty easy the first week, uh, and it's very simply this. Uh, No, that's not it. It's overall what I'm going to give you. It's real easy. Drugs and crime. That's it. Give me that and you can get your points. All right. So you can put that in. You know how to put that in. You can get your points over right away. And then, so I will see you guys next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. I hate early morning lectures. I don't do well in the mornings. And a lot of my students don't do well in the mornings. So this is this is early for me. I got one more to do tomorrow, and then I'll be done for the week. I did one last night as well in criminal law, introduction to criminal law. I don't know if you were you in that class with me? No, you were in introduction to corrections with me, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a course that I usually meet my students first time. Sometimes I teach Introduction to Criminal Justice, and I meet students at the beginning. But most of my students I meet initially in the CJ program for criminal justice. It's in that J250, also known as Introduction to Corrections. Hey, this time I'm teaching some students that are in another school because being a lawyer, I teach criminal, not just criminal law, but I'll be teaching business law over there as well. That's what my lecture is tomorrow. Every once in a while, I go back there. When I was first hired, coming up on 10 years, the October 1st, which is actually the start of the fall term this year, I will have a total of 10 years working at Rasmussen as an instructor and teacher, starting residentially, but functioning online. So, yeah, but I've enjoyed my time and looking forward to 10 more and 10 more after that. So I enjoy turning out, as I say all the time, educated, professional, and ethical criminal justice individuals. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday. If you need to reach me, you know how to reach me. Have a fantastic rest of your week and weekend, and stay safe. I used to say good night, but I'd say good morning. Thank you. You too. All right. Bye bye.